In the last episode, young master had imprisoned Chen Pingen in his dragon power, but then the saint came and created pressure on him. Now that's why we think that young master leaves Chen Pingen and says that it is forbidden to do this here, otherwise I would have killed you. But then we see that Chen Pingen also starts staring at him. Seeing this, young master got even more angry at him and said, "What are you looking at?" But even after this, we see that Chen Pingen is not afraid, but he again takes his glass piece and he immediately went to attack young master again, after which we see that young master is also unable to do anything to stop him, and Chen Pingen kicks him and goes to attack him again. But then we see that Saint uses his power again, so Chen Pingen is also unable to do anything, and we see that where everything had stopped in its own place, we see that Saint is now coming down, and wherever he was keeping his feet, a lot of energy was coming out of there. Then we see that he first comes to Kaixian, where Kaixian had already died. Then we see that Saint comes in front of Chen Pingen, where Chen Pingen had come to attack young master, and we see that he is going to attack him in a very dangerous way. Then we see that Saint uses his power again and corrects everything, where Chen Pingen had attacked young master, and he was unable to do anything to stop him. Then we see that Chen Pingen presses him against the wall, and in this way he cuts his throat and kills him there. But then we come to know that this is actually Saint's imagination, because he was seeing what will happen here, and that's why we see that nothing happened here, and everything here is just like before. Then we see that Saint uses his power again, where everything starts happening exactly the same way, and we see that Chen Pingen had attacked young master, where he was unable to do anything to stop him, and that's why Chen Pingen really hangs him against the wall. Then because of this, young master gets angry at him, and says that, "Tomorrow you will really kill me." But then we see that the power of Jimao activates in Chen Pingen's body, and he says that I have no enmity with you. But the fact is that you wanted to hurt me, and that's why I fought you to save myself. But we feel that young master is not ready to listen to anything. And then he says that you think you're capable of doing this. But after hearing this, Chen Pingen also gets angry at him and says that, "Can you kill me?" After which we feel that Saint's condition had deteriorated a lot, and he starts swearing in front of him, and he says that in the future, "I will never trouble you in any way, and that's why you let me go." But there, we feel that power starts dominating Chen Pingen again. That's why Chen Pingen is also unable to do much about it, and he gets ready to kill young master again. But now, we feel that Chen Pingen did not want to do anything like that. That's why he tries to stop himself, so that he doesn't attack him and kill him. There we feel that Saint was also looking at him carefully, where Chen Pingen was still trying to control himself. Then we feel that Saint comes to Chen Pingen and says that a gentleman has said the right thing, because if anyone a young master aves this, then extraordinary talent is nothing more than the second best thing. And that's why we feel that Saint was very impressed with Chen Pingen and says that today you taught me a very big lesson. Then we feel that he uses his power to do everything. While he first uses his power on Chen Pingen and corrects him, while there, Saint uses his power on him, and he takes out the spell of Jimao from him. There, we feel that Jimao had found out about it, and that's why he doesn't say anything about it. There, Saint tells Chen Pingen that, "You let him go, because I want you to follow me, because there are many such things in this world, about which I want to tell you." Then we feel that Chen Pingen had also agreed for this, and he leaves young master. After this, we feel that Saint starts leaving from here. That's why Chen Pingen also starts following him. Then Saint says that, "Do you believe in it? And do you believe that there are things like God, demon, and monster in this world?" Then Chen Pingen says that, "Yes, I believe in it, because my mother used to tell me such stories in my young masterhood. That's why I also know how good and bad deeds get rewards." There we feel that Saint was listening to all this and says that the determination of good and evil is different, because everyone's heart is different from each other. But then we feel that Chen Pingen was very sad thinking about this. And then he says to Saint that, "Can I ask you something?" But Saint says that, "I know what you want to ask. But first, you should know that this town is the burial ground of the real dragon, because of which the good luck here is very good. And this is the reason that all the young master, children who are born here, they have more qualifications than outsiders." But with this, he says that yes, this is not entirely true, and not every young masterld has amazing talent. But there, we feel that Chen Pingen was still sad, and says that, "I want to ask you what kind of people my parents were." Then Saint says that if you want to know about this, then let me reveal a secret in front of you. Now, after saying so much, Saint starts using his power again, and says that whoever will be the new kid in this small town, everyone will get a unique secret technique from it. A drop of blood is taken from the heart, and it is fused in the natal porcelain. Then we find out that the girl's natal porcelain is fired for 6 years, while the boy's is only for 9 years. Then we find out that the young masterld's talent is like firing porcelain, which completely depends on luck. Now that's why we think that foreigners started getting attracted to this, and for this, they started betting a lot of money. Then that 12,000 Chen Pingen is quite surprised. The same Saint says that, as far as I remember, your parents were actually kind-hearted people, but still your father did not have such good talent. That's why no porcelain buyer took them. And that's why it may be that it's just luck, or it may also be that the porcelain buyer, I have messed with your father's natal porcelain. Then Saint says that not only did your father die a terrible death, in fact, your mother also had to suffer a lot with you. But then later he found out about the secret of his porcelain, and that's why when someone took him away from town one day, that's how you became a puppet in his hands, and that's why he destroyed his live porcelain. Then Saint tells him that by doing this the porcelain buyer got angry, and that's why the Chen Pinggan of 12,000 is also very upset. And then he asks, how did my father die? Then Saint says that now all these things have passed, and that's why you shouldn't be worried about it. Then he says that if you want to know how bad your destiny is, then for that, you need to know about the origin of this world. Then he tells that the 3,000 years ago, the real dragon had fallen here. That's why the 4th century made a contract about it, and they decided that every century will see it for 60 years, and he will not let anything happen to the remaining energy of the real dragon. Then he says that the Jian family has the benefit of sharing opportunities, which is why this happens here, and this is actually human nature. Then the Chen Pinggan says that I still don't understand. Why don't these foreigners worry about someone else's life? Then Saint tells him that the name of the storyteller is actually Jimao, who is actually a member of the outside world, and that's why he's causing trouble for the rest of the people. Then he says that he had put the Death Wish talisman in you, which can manipulate your mind very easily, and that's why it's actually very toxic. Then the Chen Pingyan is surprised by this. The same Saint says that I am a saint here. That's why you don't blame me for not helping you. Then Chen Pingyan says that I know it's good for me, and that's why it's enough for me. Then Saint says that I stopped you from killing young Master Nanhua, but that doesn't mean that I have any relation with him. But still, if I were in your place, then I would have killed Jimao a long time ago. Then Saint says that this town is going to collapse very soon. That's why the chance of the battle will be very bad, and that's why I'll have to teach him. Then he suddenly sees that a lady falls into a well in front of him, who is asking for help to save her life. Then he sees that Chen Pinggan comes to him to save her, and he immediately starts pulling her hand up, but we see that he does not succeed in pulling her up, and he also falls inside with her. But then we come to know that this is everyone's imagination. That's why Saint now asks that if someone falls into a well in the future, and if you have to give your life to save him, so will you do this for him? Then Chen Pinggan says that if there is any chance of saving him, then I will definitely try for it. But we see that Saint is not so happy with this. That's why he has to explain this to Chen Pinggan, and says that it is very right to help others. But still, if I were in your place, then I would not put my life in danger to save a stranger. But then Chen Pinggan also asks him that if I survive with him, then how many more years of my life is left with me? Then Saint asks him that are you afraid of facing problems? To which Chen Pinggan says that not at all. Then Saint says that then you will definitely survive, and you will go a long way. Then Chen Pinggan says to Saint that you can stop everything. Then Saint says that there is a heaven in a Liju cave, and that's why there are still a lot of people here who do not reach heaven. Then we see a girl in the next scene, where she was going to a power rink, where she's doing cultivation at this time. But then we see that Saint uses his power on Jimao, in front of whom Jimao is now unable to do anything, and he begs to save his life in front of Saint. Then he says that I will leave from here immediately. But still, what will I do with the 2 bags of gold and copper coins I have? Then Saint tells him to stay in the hospital, and you were not allowed to go a step from Sujian Lake for 30 years. Then we see that Jimao was finally ready to listen to him, and then to keep him alive. He also says, thank you to Saint. The same Saint tells Chen Pinggan that you had to endure all this. That's why I want you to spend some time with sincerity, and now the time has come to compensate you. And then he tells him to come with him. After this we see that Saint was brought to the locust tree, where he says that can I take a locust leaf from you, so that Chen Pinggan can live for 3 years. But the same we see that the locust tree was not giving any answer to this. Then Saint tells him that he has done hard work without any credit, and that's why he doesn't deserve it. Then Chen Pinggan says that Director Liu had said that if I become an apprentice of Master Ruan Young Master, then I will have hope to live in my past, and that's why you don't have to worry about the locust leaf. But Saint understands that he is lying, and that's why he tells him to tell the whole truth. But Chen Pinggan can't say anything about it now. But at the same time it seems that the locust tree had given him a leaf, which as soon as Chen Pinggan gets it, then some energy starts generating from it. Then Saint asks him that are you ready to repay the favor of the Yao family? Then he says that there is no guarantee of life and death in it. But still, if you don't have locust tree in your past, then you can't even survive without it. And that's why Saint says that you think about it well. Then Chen Pinggan asks him, that is the master of Longstock Yao. Then Saint tells him that yes. After that, we think that Chen Pinggan was also ready for it, and says that if I live for a day, then after that, I am ready to do anything for the Yao family, and that's why I can die for it. Then we think that Saint had come somewhere with Chen Pinggan, where he says that you leave Kaizi and Nanua for me. And anyway, you have the ancestral locust leaf in your past, and that's why you don't take life and death lightly. Then he says that you should live well, because this is the biggest reward for your parents. Then we think that he was also ready to give his hairpin, and says that actually, I don't have any expensive item, and neither is it a fairy object, because I am actually just like you. But still, I didn't want to spend my life like this. That's why I worked very hard for it, and studied very hard for it. Then he says that when I was studying. That time was the happiest time of my life, after which my master had given me this thing, which is some kind of expectation or faith. Then he says to Chen Ping'an that I'm not able to do so well. That's why I think that if my master was still alive, then he would have been very disappointed by this. And that's why we think that Saint had decided to give it to Chen Ping'an and says that it is right for you. Because anyway, there is nothing for your merit. Then he says that for the last 70 years, this was the only thing going on in my heart, that I can never get rid of it. That's why it's a very sad thing that master hasn't been alive yet, and I feel that I will never be able to get my answer. But actually you have helped me find it. Then we think that Chen Ping'an had also agreed for it, and he takes Saint's hairpin. Then Saint says that I can only give you a locust tree leaf, and now I can't do anything for you. But then we think that our truth disappears from here, as Chen Ping'an says, that you have done a lot for me. That's why no matter what happens, I will never forget it. Now we think that Jimao was ready to leave from here, and he says to Guken's mother that tomorrow we will leave for Sujian Lake. Then we think that Guken's mother wants to say something, but Jimao gets angry at her. Then we think that Jimao starts keeping it in his bag, where Guken was still trapped, and he was trying to save the locust near him. Then we think that creature comes in front of him, where Guken can't do anything in front of him, and that's why he tries to swallow it. But still we think that Guken can't do anything. But then we think that the locust goes away from Guken's hands, where we see that some power was being generated in his body, and that's why Guken gets all worried about it. But then we think that the creature starts getting ready to attack it again, because of which Guken's condition was getting very bad, and he gets very scared of this. But then we think that some power surrounds this creature from all sides, and then we find out that the locust has actually turned into a dragon. So if you like this video, then do like it. And if you are excited for the next episode, then do tell us by commenting on it.